Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome once again to another CryptoManiacs podcast. That is Task. I am Django. We are joined once again by a returning guest. I got to get him his badge, though, Task. I don't think I sent it because I'm slacking. And yeah, it's pretty bad. So we're welcoming back Deltron and his partner Kilowatt, and they are the film making for Hive project. It's a proposal out there detailing. It's going to be a Hollywood epic. Let's be brutally honest. I mean, I think Brad Pitt is going to be playing Task.
Brad Pitt has too much hair. Vin
Well,
Diesel.
Vin Diesel? Okay, you're Vin Diesel. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know who's going to play me. Probably Mr. Bean or something like that. Anyways, Deltron, Kilowatt, welcome, guys. Thank you for coming back. I will get you the badge. I promise. It's coming. It's just I suck.
Well, I look forward to the badge. Cheers, Jongo. Thanks for having us back on. And thanks for hearing what we've got to say. We've kind of moved a bit forward on the project. Like you mentioned the proposal. Unfortunately, that did not pass. But
Right.
as our post says today, the show must go on. And we have got kind of support from some other people. We managed to bring this together and actually make a script, about this epic that is going to be a Hollywood film, and hopefully Brad Pitt will star in it.
Yes. Perfect.
It's coming across. It's coming along really well. Like we're finding out quite a lot about everything that happened during the Justin Sun takeover, and we've gone pretty deep. Like we've been recording a lot of the interviews. We can't release some of them. Maybe we'll cut some up and use them for future projects. Obviously with the owner's permission and all that. But we've spoken to a hell of a lot of the community, and we've got quite a few more to speak to.
Before going into that, maybe it's best for a lot of listeners, it'll be a review, but maybe for some, it'll be new. How did you happen upon this, and how did this project get started? What was your introduction to it, both of yours? And why don't we start with that point as to what grabbed you about
it? Sure. Do you want to go first, Kilowatt? Or actually, I'll go first, actually. I met Starkers, a community member of the Hive on another project, and I've worked in film for quite a while, and he just so happened to have been on the Charlie Shrem show, and basically they were talking about the takeover, and Charlie Shrem basically said, well, this needs to be a movie, and obviously the idea kind of stuck with Starkers, and Charlie Shrem said he was a producer. And he brought it up to me, and he basically goes, "Oh, have you heard of Hive?" Like, I hadn't heard of Hive too much. Like, I knew quite a bit about Steemit, but that's from like 2017, 18. I kind of moved away, and it wasn't really my scene because I'm not much of a writer. But kind of moving forward. He said, "Well, do you know any script writers?" It's like, "Well, I manage film projects. I can bring this whole thing together." And from that. He said, well, why don't you interact with the community, have a chat with them, bring things together and make a film out of this? And he told me the story. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I started learning a bit more about the stories, interacting with the community, building an awesome Discord, which we have over 100 members, all people kind of helping us piece this story together, from various people who are part of it to people who just want to find out a bit more. And I just realized how much of an epic this whole thing actually is. And eventually released a proposal. I released a proposal. We got a lot of support from it. A lot of people were kind of campaigning behind it, but unfortunately we didn't quite get over the mark. But it's such an epic script. We were like, well, how can we let this go? So we've been bringing together various community members. Various community members have been supporting us. And as our latest post today said, the show must go on. And we've just been interviewing, finding out more, and we fully intend to make this into a Hollywood blockbuster, one of the biggest films ever. It's going to win every Oscar, every Oscar out there. It's going to be it's going to be bigger than the Bible. It's going to be huge.
And put a good soundtrack to it, and maybe you'll pick up a Grammy at the same time.
Every award, Nobel Peace Prize, you name it. Well, just aside, it would actually show quite a lot of people, how you can fork out corrupt founders. It's like, as I said in your last show, I repeatedly say this. It's like it really did set a precedent. But well, I'll let Kilowatt kind of talk about how he joined as well.
Yeah, so I joined Hive about midway through December last year, just December just gone. And yeah, I'd actually found out about Hive through. I joined Steam at first because I heard about crypto gaming and all this kind of stuff and blogging. So I ended up joining Steam and went to Reddit because after a post or two, nothing was really going on. I didn't really know what to do and if there was any pointers anyone had. And sure enough, heard about Hive, went and set up an account there and just stuck with it. And over the couple of months of being there, heard like tidbits of information about the whole, everything that had happened. Then came across the filmmaking for Hive post talking about making a movie out of it. And yeah, sure enough, joined the Discord and someone had come across one of my posts. So I kind of write fiction kind of pieces on Hive and different things. And someone came across that and said, well, you have a background in kind of script writing, storytelling. You should, look up the filmmaking for Hive. And sure enough, then me and Deltron started chatting about it. And yeah, I just told him what my background was with film, and we just kind of hit it off straight away, talking. And he told me the whole idea of this film. And it was like, man, like this was before any of the interviews and any of the information I knew. And then he was telling me things. And it just sounded perfect for a movie, like the perfect kind of story to try and tell and try and get this down into, I think that was one of the things we spoke about. It's like, man, this is huge. Like this whole story, like this is probably a trilogy's worth of films we're putting into one movie. But like, the interviews went on, we got more and more information, and yeah, just we bonded a lot over the last couple of weeks as well, and just getting this story, getting the big picture for it all. And yeah, I mean, well, we're on the right track to putting it all down.
Now, Kilowatt, have you written movie scripts in the past, or are you just basically fiction?
No, yeah, I've written scripts. I've written feature films and pilots for TV shows. My main kind of focus over the last couple of years has been short films that I can write and make myself with a small team of a few mates of mine, just trying to fucking navigate the waters of the film industry. Kind of on the outskirts at the moment. But no, I studied it when I was about 2015 and graduated in 2018, and since then I've just worked freelance and doing my own small projects. And the 2 years of lockdown over here in Ireland gave me plenty of time just to write and create. And yeah, here we are now.
I got a big picture question, and I know this is before we dive too much more into the project, but do you guys, you just mentioned something about navigating the film industry, and I got one of my best friends on the planet has been basically trying to break into the industry, and he's doing good, but he's been doing it for like 20 years. It's literally navigating, like you said. Do you see blockchain, cryptocurrency, like do you see this as especially something like Hive, where you can build different apps that almost cater to this type of stuff? Do you see film and filmmaking and scripts and all this stuff having a much more welcoming home, let's say, on a blockchain rather than trying to go through traditional methods?
Yeah, I think so. I think kind of you're taking it out of the hands of like gatekeepers. I mean, right now there's so many people that kind of stop, and like your friend and like myself and like hundreds of thousands of people who've gotten out of film school and don't know what the hell they're going to do and how the hell are they going to get into it. I mean, like, yeah, I think, if you put forward the right idea and you put it forward to a community of people as well, like, it's not just kind of one person you're trying to impress and hoping that they're going to open the gate for you. You put it out there, and sure enough, if one thing doesn't work, you just keep on creating, keep on putting it out. Yeah.
I'd say I had the fortune, but in a lot of cases had the misfortune of speaking to kind of a lot of distributors and gatekeepers within this industry, and quite well connected. Around kind of I got contacts in Netflix and various other things like this, and it is. They've got their pot of gold kind of ring fenced, and this is what kind of cryptocurrency really does bring to the table. I guess blockchain can bring to the table is the distribution of, it's like no one knows the figures of Netflix really. No one knows how many views these things are getting. No one knows how much these are selling for. All they know is Netflix's budget is I think it was 17 billion. That they were basically spending on new content coming in. That's all they knew. It's like they did, and with that they had. Obviously Netflix kept all the figures very closely guarded. But if they're spending 17 billion on new projects coming up, I think Amazon spends about 10 billion, on new projects. Well, what if that was on a distributed system? Then it'd be distributed fairly. There wouldn't be as many gatekeepers. There wouldn't be, anything like this. And Amazon kind of does it with Amazon Prime Video Direct, I think it is. So you as a content creator can upload your stuff onto Amazon. This is why there's so many This is why, even though Amazon's spend is less than Netflix, it has so much more content than Netflix, because you as a content creator can just upload your project and then, they won't advertise it. You can pay them to advertise it, but then you can gain notoriety that way and advertise it yourself. And loads of independent filmmakers get their stuff on Amazon. It's also why there's so much terrible content on Amazon as well. Like there's so many awful conspiracy documentaries, like you name it, it's on Amazon, and that's because of that factor. But imagine if that was on blockchain. You'd still have all the terrible stuff. But I mean, there's some great like indie films on there that have just come out of nowhere, and Amazon's just jumped all over them. And you're like, well, how did Amazon find that? Well, Amazon didn't. Someone just put it on there because it was a platform out there. Now, I guess the biggest things with this is the user base on blockchain at the moment. I was speaking with Starks that lot about kind of social media on the blockchain, and it's just there is a crypto Twitter out there is a crypto Insta out there is a blockchain kind of video platform out there, but it just doesn't have the user base because people aren't moving over to it. So I think what we really need to be looking at is what's the barriers to entry. And I think it is kind of I do see it coming, but we need to kind of work out and solve some of the barriers to entry. And I think it is things down to usability, access, being able to create an account and actually being able to market the product so that people can get over there. And those are all serious issues that are holding it back.
Yeah, it's real interesting how you bring this point up, because with Hive, people often ask, where's it going? And the answer is it's going in a lot of different directions. It's like a mishmash smorgasbord. And, you got gaming, you have you guys now talking about filmmaking, and then of course there's people, we had a guest on a couple weeks ago who into music, and I've been putting my efforts behind HBD, and let's take down the global international banking system. And there's all these different avenues that we're going, in addition to blogging and tweeting and social media, that you're right, we are at such the early stages that a lot of this infrastructure isn't even in place to handle this stuff, let alone the ability to bring people in and get people excited about it. And to tangent back to what John asked or add to it, I see the ultimate, and of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff that has to be worked through, not only in infrastructure, but regulation, or, us getting around to regulation, and from my perspective. But funding of these projects, you guys went to the DAO to try to get funded, and your first swing there, I guess it didn't work out in terms of the funding, but you got a lot more recognition and made a lot more contacts, obviously. But I see that's going to be something that's evolving, where you can start to see the evolution where there's DAOs set up and are tokenized just to fund indie film projects.
I think DAO's funding indie film projects is a really good idea. I think DAO's funding everything is a good idea. It's like another thing, kind of I guess the possibility of distributing funds through a DAO, it will make the world a lot fairer. And I think as more and more people kind of see how it opens up, we will see more and more things on there, maybe even governments one day. Like I think it's a really, really interesting concept.
Well, and I'm thinking if a DAO funds an indie film project and that film does hit it big, part of the agreement is that a certain percentage of the proceeds are fed back into the DAO to keep the DAO growing and to keep funding more indie film projects.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's the way it should be. Like, but you got to ask is if DAOs are funding these things, how can a DAO hold something accountable? It's like it's like there's escrows, there's you need a legal entity, and is a decentralized platform a legal entity? That's kind of another hurdle that we have to go over.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think some of it can be answered in smart contract, depending on how the payment system is set up, and if you have payments, at least online stuff, you could probably do that through some type of token or a token which is tied to a smart contract. But yeah, outside, above and beyond, you get into the Amazon, the Netflix, the real world stuff. Yeah, you're adding another layer that I wouldn't know the answer to, but you cross that bridge when you get to it.
Yeah, I think we managed to generate some kind of support behind this thing, and part of the agreement of that support was to put something back into the DAO that when we do actually sell our script. But like the biggest thing in writing that contract was like, well, who's going to enforce it? Do you know what I mean? How can we get it back to DAO? And someone had to stand in. It's entirely enforced by the goodwill of that person to go back to the DAO. It's extremely trustworthy member of the community, but it had to have a person there, and I think that's one of the barriers. It's going to be faced. I think I guess like DAOs produce, Hive watchers. It's they produce this organization to watch certain things within Hive. Maybe there's like the league, a representative force that is voted in by the DAO that gets funding that can then be the legal enforcer of these things and be the entity upon which contracts are actually written up towards.
Well, it's funny because as you're saying that, what's popping into my mind, it was just a different topic in particular, but it's reminded me of this conversation I had about reputation. And what if you had a DAO-based system where, and I'm not talking necessarily a number or something like that, but we were talking in the sense of proof of human where, okay, I can validate John as being human, and then he can validate his best friend as being human. And we're talking about automation and fake news and all these blog writing bots and all this stuff, GPT-3 and stuff that's out there. But this could kind of parlay into the DAO where, you guys have a reputation, you put it together a project, you fund a project, you gave the money back to the DAO, you tell your friend about it, you kind of validate or verify your friend, your friend gets, verified, he gets funded, makes his project. And guess what? If he doesn't pay the DAO back, well, that kills his reputation. The idea of going back into that again is done. And so ultimately you start getting these tentacles that extend outward, that people are basically verifying each other, and new people are added basically, by sponsorship, for lack of a better word, even though it's not official. And if somebody doesn't act appropriately, the community doesn't vote for their proposal to get funded and say, listen, you screwed us the last time, you're not getting funded again.
Yeah.
That's how community can control it.
Sure,
absolutely. I think that'd be great. Sorry, Tom.
No, go ahead, Kilowatt.
No, I think that'd be great. Because there's a lot of people that would kind of see that and could potentially try and cheat it, and try and take the piss. And if stopping people from being able to do that and protecting ourselves against that would be very important. I think for filmmaking, I think if this could set an example within the next 5, 10 years, maybe even sooner or whatever, we could definitely see a world, where that's possible, where that's a thing. If it's proven that it can happen. I was thinking there, how many? It's one thing me and a mate of mine were talking about after we finished college, and he just kind of didn't keep up with it. I kind of carried on doing the freelance thing, just kind of kept on swimming basically. and he kind of just floated around, done a few things, and carried on, and forgot about it. But like, how many people have gotten out of film school who's the next like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and they just lost when they get out of there, and not just for film, but for many different industries. Like, I think there should be an alternative to the current the way things are currently.
Well, I look at it very simply. I mean, if you guys went knocking on a door to get, let's say, $500,000 and went around knocking on doors to get somebody to give you $500,000 or $1 million, whatever the number is, that might be a tough sell. But with cryptocurrency, to find 50,000 people online to throw up $10 to have a piece of the potential proceeds of a film, I mean, that's where this diversity of investing. It's like, okay, you guys are selling $10 tokens. Okay, I'll take 10 of them. Here's $100, and let me see if I make something off of it. So you get 5,000 of me. There's your $500,000 to make your documentary or whatever.
Yeah,
I think, I'm all for that idea. I think. I do think it's probably going to be the future, because like if you're looking at Hive as well, you can delegate your votes to things like that. Well, what if you could delegate your investment to wise investments? There's loads of other routes down that. Like the biggest thing that you're going to face with things like that is securities laws, basically. Like how far do you traverse into it? Like you're looking at all these ICOs, which are basically centralized shitcoins. They're just they are just securities that are trying to get around securities law, and eventually it will come back to them. I generally do think every Instamind is going to be royally taken to the cleaners one day. It's unfortunate fact, but as long as we can as long as things can be traversed within that particular legal framework, then sky's the limit. You can fund everything. You can be funding.
Well, I think the key is to set it up on something decentralized, and set it up decentralized from the get-go, and don't pay yourselves. Not saying you guys, but whoever puts it together doesn't pay themselves that Ninja Mind stake or that founder stake, because like you said, then they're putting a target on their chest saying, come get me. But if you do like Starkers and They Call Me Dan are doing with Speak Network, where they're not paying themselves anything, they're just distributing the token through the distribution mechanism they chose, which is an airdrop, and they get dropped the same just based upon their percentage holding of Hive. So if the DAO, let's say the movie DAO or the film DAO does something similar, well, who are they going to go after? And if it's on a decentralized system, like we know, like we're told Speak Network's going to be built on, let's say, Honeycomb, then all of a sudden you guys have something right from the get-go that's like, okay, securities law, who cares? I mean, we're decentralized. It's like somebody wants to throw something up, the DAO it's approved by a community, and DAO spits out the money. Nobody's in control.
This would be if people were investing and looking to get a return by investing into like a project through this, like then suddenly like the point of failure would be the project returning the money.
Yeah, but if it's decentralized, and if the tokens are thrown up, they're decentralized, and the DAO is actually, which is tied to a blockchain in some way, shape, or form, is spitting out the token. Yeah, I guess the project could, but then again, if you don't have the founder stake, how could they really attribute that? I mean, I guess you're right. At the project level, it potentially could be an issue. But again, that's how do they set that up? They set that up as a DAO. DAO on a DAO.
The DAO will be completely secure. It's decentralized. Who are they going to go after? The internet. But like the actual project itself, I'd say there's definitely a point of failure. But if there's enough projects doing it, they're not going to go after everyone. It's always.
That's my thinking.
Yeah.
If you have 1 million projects doing the same thing, they may go after one or two, but who are they going to catch?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're going to go after Vin Diesel, who's starring in the movie, right?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to transition into that because just kind of poking your guys' experience over the past month or so since we had you on last. What has been your without diving into too many secrets, like what would have been what's some of the bigger takeaways you've learned from this experience of interviewing different people on Hive about the the fork, let's call it. How's that been? What have you learned? What's been some shocking revelations, let's say?
I would say that, like, it sounds like a simple story, like on surface level, and then you go into it and you just start realizing how many parts there was to this whole thing. And we're not just talking like the 6 weeks where the split actually happened. You know, a hell of a lot went over there, but you go back months before, you know, years before. There's like, you know, Steve. I reckon the best thing that happened to the Steam community was leaving Steam. Like, that's one thing that I've come to conclude. Like, Steam was filled with skeletons in its closet, I reckon. Like, you know, from coming down from the ninja mine to like, I'm not sure, you know, there's, you know, the split of it, you know, the two founders of kind of Steam it. There's, you know, there's some skeletons in those closets as well, you know, and then moving forward, it's like within the whole deal itself, you know, being sold to Justin Sun, leading up to it, you know, it just sounds, it's just, you know, it's a farcical tale where everyone's trying to take control, and in the end, everyone loses apart from the community. I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway. It's like John McAfee said, you can't buy a community, you know. But I guess the biggest things that we found was just like, I don't know, some of like the funniest parts, obviously the, you know, the many memes, the blog posts, you know, Justin Sun losing his temper. Justin Sun losing his temper on the odd post.
Yeah.
You know, the various factors coming into things. You know, the sneaky tactics. Like, it's a very interesting story. You know, what are your highlights, Killer?
Well, what I've noticed is kind of like, you know, how polarizing everyone is. Like, you know, it seemed at the time, like, you know, leading up to the initial fork, you know, I mean, like, everyone kind of wanted a different thing, but like they all wanted the same thing, but in different ways, and just kind of how, you know, all these people were trying to, you know, do the same thing, but in their own way, and try, and then inevitably coming together. You know, I think that's well, it's inspirational, I think. And you know, how everyone was able to actually coordinate, and emotions, I guess, just from each person and their own like individual story. You know, some people looked at it and seemed to look back on it with very logical, kind of almost robotic thinking, and then some people kind of, you know, I don't know, find it hard talking about, I guess. That's from the interviews.
Do you guys have a working title?
We got a couple. Two.
Yeah.
One is stealing is bad.
Oh, that's great.
And the other one's a little
some guy, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. One's a little bit more serious, but layer zero.
Layer zero.
Kilowatt, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And listening to all the interviews and the rabbit holes that have been run down regarding this, and going back to, you know, even the skeletons of Steam It, as a scriptwriter, how do you begin to even narrow this down and bring it all in? Because like you said, you have 3 feature films in one. How do you begin the process of trying to narrow down this mess?
Well, it's a good question. Lots of notes, and kind of like each individual person. Me and Deltron were both starting out from their early beginning of, like, you know, how they came across the platform right the way through to the end. And so you kind of like, you know, what I was able to do after a while was kind of, you know, you pick out 1 or 2 people and you say, wow, this is a compelling story to follow. Like, this is the opener. This is the main character. Well, not the main character, but this is one of the main characters here. You know, they're kind of where they were when all this was going on. And, you know, you're trying to look for whose eyes can you tell these scenes through, you know, and that's kind of one of the most it wasn't so hard to find out, because like nearly every person was you know, potentially a main character in it. But like, then you'd have an interview with someone and say, wow, that's like, this is the person we have to follow for this portion of the movie, and this should tell us everything we need to know. But as far as like, one of my concerns with it was that it's very technical, and if you're giving this to a general audience who has no idea about this world, how are you going to introduce them? And we introduced a kind of, well, a fake character, a new kind of character who's new to the platform and kind of learns at the same pace as most of the audience members. And boiling it down as well and just kind of saying, well, let's get it into the basic 3-act structure. What's the beginning, and then the middle, this is the fight, and then the end is obviously, we know how it ends, so it's it was actually easier. It was easier than I thought when we got into it. I think we're at a point now where we're really happy with how it's going. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, it's so obviously Kilowat's doing the, now as we're coming to the end of like all our interviews, we'll have a few more follow-ups. My role is kind of just helping out with advice and words of encouragement, as he kind of gets words to paper down, and helping out with the timeline stuff and still arranging the community. And it won't be until kind of we get to the end where we actually start kind of licensing this and getting it out to some kind of studios when Morel comes in. But it's like it does really seem like the whole picture is coming together without like revealing anything. Like we had a brainstorming session. We got a load of obviously Hive and its many communities. We found a few guys from the filmmaking community. If anyone from the filmmaking community is listening to this, feel free to join our Discord, message me, and we'll get you in the brainstorming session. But yeah, they were all quite impressed about kind of how this is coming along, how the stories are coming along, and just from the interviews alone, it's written some of our characters for us. It's awesome.
So Kilowatt, since you're the one putting pen to paper or keyboards on keys on a screen,
Yeah.
What would you say the ETA is on your end?
Well, right now, I think I'm in a good position right now to at least get the writing started. There's one scene that I've already written, that I've already put down on the script, but obviously that could be subject to change. I think the ETA right now, I hate putting that date, like a time limit on it, because yourself, you say it's going to be 1 month or whatever, and then when you've missed that deadline, then you're kind of kicking yourself.
But are we looking at 3 months, 6 months, 18 months?
No, nothing like that. No, God, like about 6 weeks.
Okay,
that's kind of like
2 months,
as soon as, give or take. Yeah, exactly. About that, like, that'll be the rough guesstimate. Now I'm probably gonna, bite my tongue later.
Dude, you just got to do what the guys at Leo Finance do. Just say you're entering the Sooniverse, which is just it's all encompassing, and it's the Sooniverse. It could happen soon, soonish, sooner or later. Perfect,
Absolutely. Yeah, well, that's one thing I don't want to do. I don't want to rush through it, because then you're gonna have to, I don't want to rush it at the same time, because then when something's rushed, there's always more time spent correcting previous oversights.
From a creative standpoint, I'm just curious, Kilowatt.
Yep.
When you start hearing all this information and you get exposed to these interviews and stuff like that, do you have an overriding picture in your mind of how this is going to unfold, and you just start kind of adding pieces in there? Or is it you just start from zero and just start building and say, okay, take this out, put this in? What's your mental framework when you approach this?
So when I approach any project, I'm very visual, and I can kind of picture things. And especially doing this, or really any kind of project, you usually have key scenes in your mind. Especially from the interviews, you say, wow, that's definitely has to be in there. And you kind of it's kind of like connecting the dots almost. Bringing these key scenes together and like piecing them together. in that sense. It's easier, I think, for this project, because we're talking to people, and they're giving us the story. They're giving, like, I've worked on things where one scene has popped into my head and I just get typing and then like build it around that one scene. But this, like, the whole picture's there, and yeah, it's just trying to fit it all in in a way. Also, the creative kind of aspect was important, I think, as well, when we spoke and kind of said, trying to do it on a certain timeline, I think, is going to be difficult. But, obviously, we want it to be as true to life as possible, true to the real events. But there are obviously certain creative liberties we're going to have to take for the sake of the narrative.
Fair enough.
Like I kind of said, you have it feels like it should be a trilogy, and like if you're approaching it with one film, it's kind of like well, you have to kind of squish things together, but it's still got to be good, right? It's got to be a good story. I think anyone's going to be able to come into this and watch it, and it's going to be like it's got to be very like, I don't know how to describe it. Sci-fi, kind of like, not sci-fi, but along those same lines to a certain extent to people. But there's definitely elements of comedy in it as well, which is important for me, because I hate doing like kind of one, a drama, or trying to I always like to kind of experiment with a bit of humor as well. I think it's easier to. Sorry.
If the title of the movie is "Stealing is Bad," I mean, that's just comedy right there. Especially if anyone knows where that phrase came from, like just funniest thing ever. So yeah, I'm all for that.
Well, and Sun did provide a lot of comic relief, I must say. So
yes, the magical memes, right? Yes, yeah.
There was comic relief in real life, and if these guys take creative liberty with it, they could make it hilarious.
Oh, it's great. It's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm here.
I do also think there's a chance that once we got the outline written and outline out there, and Kilowatt starts actually writing for it, it may be an extended film, maybe it's just it might be easier to let the whole thing be long than actually crush it down. Do you know what I mean? Like if it fits, it fits, and if you're spending half the time reviewing it trying to make it fit into a specific point, I think maybe just sod it, make it long.
So are you saying that instead of you're trying to, let's say, I'll throw out some numbers, fit it into 90 minutes, but if it's 2.5 hours and you can't cut it down, well, it's 2.5 hours. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 4 hours, whatever.
Yes.
7 hours, 2 days.
Lord of the Rings.
Whatever it takes, guys.
Yeah, we'll get Peter Jackson involved. He'll sort it out.
Yeah.
I just want to know who's being cast for everyone. I think that'll be the comedy in itself. I mean, that'd be great. I'm still saying Vin Diesel. This is all I see on screen with me right now. It's just I see Vin.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the budget we get off a producer when we get down there. So if everyone could choose like their favorite character and a budget version, send them over. We'll have a look.
Yeah. Bob from down the street will be playing everyone, right?
Yeah. We got to deal with every character.
So you guys kind of touched on this, and it's I want to hit this again a little bit, just because again you guys are. Hive is very artistic. I mean, there's so many different tribes and communities. Like Tass said, we had Raven on, who's a music artist, who came on a couple weeks ago, was talking about her journey. You guys are talking about film. Task and I, even though you wouldn't believe, we don't do podcasting full time. We do a lot of blogging, right? So the creative writing and stuff. One of the biggest things I've always said, especially with everyone I onboard the Hive, is that it's so unique because, like Kilowatt said, navigating the film industry. Well, for content creators, it's navigating the social media world, like trying to figure out how to get traction, how to get exposure, how to get engagement, how to start getting profit sharing from the YouTubes, from the Instagrams, whatever. Hive is such a unique place because you can literally get supported on day one. And I'm really curious to see. You guys have said that you've tapped into some awesome communities on Hive and you're getting support, but I'm really curious to see if you're feeling the same way like I do. Like I've written a blog since 2003. I made a grand total of $0 up until I joined Hive from my blog. Now I'm earning some rewards. I'm not making a living, but it feels good. It makes me feel like I'm valued. And for filmmakers, that's gotta be something. There's gotta be something there where it's really like, I'm putting in the effort, I'm plugging into community, and I'm actually seeing some results. I'm not just, navigating the waters, let's say. Do you guys find that so far? Is it something that is coming for filmmakers?
I think from my own experience being on Hive, it's given me a big confidence boost, because a lot of my work that I've written, like I always wanted to kind of get into blogging and this kind of stuff, and like, a place to kind of share kind of fictional kind of ideas instead of it gathering dust on my computer, which a lot of it did. Unless I showed it to a mate of mine and said, let's go and make it, do you want to act in it, or whatever. I mean, that was really the only time for me to share my scripts with people. And, being on Hive, I mean, everything's public from the get-go. And like, you notice the same people cropping up, and sure, yeah, their vote may be worth, 0.001 cent or whatever, but like, it's the comments that really make it, because you see the same name cropping up, and they've been following a particular piece of writing, and it's like, wow, this is it's amazing, I think. And yeah, you're right, the amount of creative people we have in one place is it's great, like, it's amazing. And so many different aspects of creativity, some great artists, some great musicians, everything.
Yeah, that's so powerful to me to think about, because it's like, my industry, I know, is just a little slice of what this stuff can be, like from filmmaking to music to art to short story writing to you name it. I mean, it's just, you have a passion, you can definitely tap into it here on Hive. So it's interesting to hear, filmmakers' point of view from it. So
I think the communities are awesome on Hive. It's just wish more people would realize it. Wish more people came onto it. That's the thing. It's like they've got this huge foundation, like the foundation that anyone could, like, just kind of scrolling around on Hive, like looking at everything that I followed, kind of things, just seeing all these huge areas. But so many other people would have this interest if they just knew that they could jump over to Hive and do it. Instead they're on kind of legacy apps and making no money from it. It's like it's like you've got, it's like, what, you're on Medium, or even like looking at stuff on Facebook. It's like, why isn't that on a DApp? Why isn't it there? It's like I'm still on legacy apps because for social life and things like that. And I tell people, like, why don't you come on board? Well, even if they all did, it's like meeting the new people on the apps. It's like, how do you bring that community across? And they'd fit better over here because it's filled with nicer people.
Yeah.
Well, I think Kilowatt brought up a very good point. Here he has all these ideas from who knows how many years he threw on his computer and wrote these different stories. And, to couple that with what John said, blogging since 2002, 2003 may have gotten a lot of personal satisfaction out of it, may have gotten some, business leads out of it, but direct monetization is zero.
Right.
And Kilowatt said, even if somebody's vote is worth 0.001 Hive, that's still more than a vote is worth on Facebook. Yeah. It's still more than most people get on YouTube.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the direct monetization, while not easy, it at least exists. And then, like you said, you start getting the same people over and over again, and all of a sudden you have a fan base. And it's like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Well, just what Kilowatt said there about like how it inspires you to keep going. And that's the biggest thing for I think anyone in a creative environment. Like, if they feel that they're valued, if they get a comment, so you get a comment and engagement plus a little vote for 0.001 Hive, you're like, damn, like I'm going to show up tomorrow. And then I might get 0.002 Hive, and I'll show up again. And it inspires you to keep going. So
absolutely. Because, I mean, obviously when you finish a project or you finish a script, I mean, like, or any piece of work like that, you look at it and you might show your best mate or your mom or something like that, and they're going to say, oh, well, isn't that great? But sure, they're going to say that anyway. But when it's a complete stranger, like,
wait a minute, your mom, like
it depends on how your mom is. I'll get you failed again, dumbass.
You show up a little bit harder there, buddy. Like, you're failing at life here. Like, that's crazy. Oh, that's not what everyone's parents say. No, I'm just joking. My mom's a saint. Yeah.
Come on now, you're nearly 30. Time to get a real job.
Yeah. Oh, my parents actually still joke at that. I'm like, they're still like, hey, when are you going to go get a real job? I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what do you do? When are you going to go back to school? It's like, school? Why, are you kidding me? You see the gray hairs? Like, I mean, it's getting up there. Yeah, man.
So the big question, Kilowatt, is your token going to be the kilo or watt token?
The KWT, yeah, fucking, yeah.
Oh, KWT, very creative. See, John, we bring these creative people on, very witty. Yep. Very
I'm telling you, man. We should start a consulting firm.
Yeah, I
Name
really
your
hope.
coin.
I really hope over the next few years, more creative people, like over the coming years, more creative people find their way onto Hive, because I think it's important. I think this what the community is, and surely you have felt the same way. Like, I've only been here for like, what, 5-6 months or whatever, but like, there's some days I'm kind of like, you feel like screaming it from the rooftops. You want to get a megaphone. It's like, I've been telling everyone that I know about it, and it's just, kind of, you see their eyes gloss over, and you're like, listen to me. You're not listening. It's like, what do I have to do?
Well, there's a big learning curve, though, right? Because like, people are so used, just like you said, the legacy media. It's like, sign up with your email address or sign up with your Facebook account so you can get on Facebook. It's very weird, right? But it's very simple. It's one button, right? One button click. You're onboarded. Here it's like, okay, welcome to Hive. Oh, by the way, here's all your account keys. Oh yeah, we got a master password too. Don't forget, we have something called a memo key. You're never going to use it. In fact, Taskmaster has probably lost his memo key, but you're going to get it anyway. So you just get this list of things, and it's just like, well, then you got to learn about Hive Power. You got to learn about resource credits. And to me, my dream has always been to completely gamify it. Like, literally start at day one and just idiot proof it. Like, you can post a comment. There you go. After you post enough comments, oh, look, you've got some rewards. Here's your account your active key, so you can get access to your wallet. Like, slowly bring them step by step instead of just, oh, here's all your information. It's information overboard. So
do not lose it. It's like, that's a big phrase that comes in. It's like, oh my God, what's going on? It's like,
I do have a question for Deltron. We know where Kilowatt's going to be focused the next 6 or 8 weeks. From your perspective and the side of the project you're kind of focusing on, other than being a cheerleader and trying to help Kilowatt to remain motivated to keep writing, what's the next phase of the project from your end of things? What do you have left to do other than just continuing outreach?
It's obviously supporting Kilowatt, continuing the community management. My main thing will come in once the script is starting to take shape and going to producers, getting it done. Like, that's managing film projects, what I do. It's like, I've got quite a lot of connections in the network. It is kind of get it out there and try and get this thing solved, and continue trying to get interviews with the community as well. I think that's important. I think we're recording every single one as well, and that's future content for things. I know there's another documentary being made, but maybe there's scope for other projects with this whole thing. Like, I think every project I've ever done, it's like, always get as much information as you can, because there's probably a lot that you can do with it. And I think just keep bringing it together, keep bringing the brainstorming communities together, keep managing the community, keep getting the posts out, keep helping Kilowatt, kind of develop the script, bouncing all the ideas off me, suggesting things. Also we're putting together a actual timeline as well. So a timeline of, we're taking all the posts that we've got and putting it into a timeline, so we actually have something for the community that they can go through afterwards. It's just an absolutely colossal job in itself,
Yeah, exactly. Like, keeping everything rolling on the outside, and kind of keep everyone informed. And it's so helpful for me to come to Deltron with any ideas, or like, kind of just to talk things through, and keep bouncing ideas, like you said. That's important. I think there was one. I was going to sleep one night, and a scene popped into my head after one of our interviews, and it was like, I was literally in my bed laughing, at it, and I was just straight away wrote down a note. The next day, got straight onto the call to Deltron and told him, and we just sat there. God, we were laughing for a good half an hour. just about it and bouncing more ideas off about the particular scene.
You mentioned the mastermind group. How many people do you have involved in that at this point on your Discord in terms of who are actively involved in bouncing ideas off and coming up with ideas and things of that nature? Is it you two alone, or are there more people involved?
No, there's a few of us. Like there's a load of the film guys. Like I know we got there's about 10 of us in there in that particular group. It's active. It's a bigger group than that, but there's about 10 people who are active in there. And also we have a kind of a community review team that hasn't really, it's kind of been taken over by the brainstorming team. And we've got quite a lot of people throwing us links and throwing us ideas in the Discord. And it seems I've done quite a lot of the research around this as well. And it seems loads of things ideas come up from this. Like I've got a contact that I made contacts in certain areas that I don't want to speak about it too much, but yeah, there's contacts who are telling us stories that happen behind the scenes, things that happen they don't want to be revealed, but there's definitely things that are going to be concluded in the script that not that many people would know about that could potentially have been factual. I know I'm being vague, but I'm being vague deliberately on that one. But yeah, expect some interesting things from this. But the brainstorming crew, like when we went over things with them, when was it, last Friday? And the amount it's progressed, the amount we were able to kind of go through things, they were able to suggest what they think. It's it is a group project, but that group project, Kilowatt's got to put pen to paper for.
Well, this is it, and also kind of have to make the hard decision of no, your idea is good, but it doesn't work. You have to make tough calls like that as well. But no one's getting upset if their idea can't make it in. If it's a good idea and it kind of works for the narrative and it works, then yeah, sure. But you have to keep it all on point, as well.
So the big thing is this is going down. It's happening. It's taking place. It's not a pipe dream. It's actually going on Kilowatt's computer.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with the interviews, the follow-up interviews are really important as well, because the first interview with someone, you're kind of going through things, and yourself, you can end a call and say, oh, should have said that, or and it gives people another opportunity to think about it, and then we come back more concise and just discuss the points that we know are going to make it into the script.
That's pretty slick. So this is probably my ignorance showing when it comes to filmmaking and stuff. You said 6 weeks ish for the script, right?
Yeah.
So timeline for let's say everything works out just like you plan it. When's the red carpet? Where is it? And me and Task be the official media
MCs. What are the MCs for?
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at timelines, it's getting it to a producer, getting the producer to a distributor, getting the funding behind it, and then bringing everything together. I'm bringing together another project at the moment, and it's taken over a month just to bring everything together and try and get everyone lined up. So let's say it's 2 months, 3 months until it starts, and then it could take 6 months to a year to actually get everything filmed and put together and post production. And then pretty much when it's done, you can get it uploaded to I don't know where would the best place to premiere it? Maybe HiFest or something like that,
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
But Deltron, what do you think? Do you think this will be a hard script to sell in your experience, based upon your experience?
Well, I'm in the process of selling my first for something else, or selling something else at the moment, and the contexts are out there, but it's just so much. I do think that I think this is definitely sellable. It's how, where and how and to who. It's you just got to get the interest. I think we've already got a great in with Charlie Shrem. I think that'd be, very a very, very good contact to work on. And then obviously if you got one deal, then, you know, you can try and leverage it to get other deals. But I think actually getting it produced, if Charlie's friend's behind it, which he said in the podcast, then it should be easy. And then we can go and distribute it afterwards. If we're then taking the script to various distributors, you know, I think it is going to be a little bit harder, but I think I've already got, I already know who I'm going to speak to about it. And I think it's definitely people. Thing is, people are actually screaming for blockchain content at the moment. Like I know Netflix has just invested in that. Can't remember what it's called. I haven't seen it yet, but it's the one about the Canadian guy who
right.
may have faked his death, may have not. You know, I was actually, but yeah, like all the platforms are kind of screaming for it at the moment.
Well, it's untapped territory, and like, you know, I think we've seen, like, you know, over the last few years, the studio system has like kind of they're running out of ideas. You know, creatively bankrupt is a word I've heard quite a lot.
They're remaking all the movies I grew up watching. That's how bankrupt they are.
There's no more
Remaking
asteroids
them
hitting Earth movies coming, or what?
Yeah.
Transformers 45.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, they're like, that's the problem, and I think that's why a lot of the gatekeeping goes on, is that, like, you know, they're afraid to take chances now on you know, young filmmakers and people with, you know, fresh ideas or fresh thoughts on different things. I think, you know, it's gotten to a point now where it's like, well, this is going to make $1 billion. Will this make, you know, kind of, this is going to make the budget back 4 times over. So, and you know, until people start speaking with their wallets, that's the way it's going to stay.
That's a good
I think
point.
I think there's a lot of film guys in Hive as well. A lot of people who've I've spoken with a couple of guys who already do have quite a lot of connections as well within the film industry, and it's I was just reading one of the comments someone wrote, the mainstream media is so corrupt there it has no creativity. I know maybe by the time we actually kind of get the script out, like there'll be other routes that we can actually take to get this. Maybe it's kind of getting the support and then getting it on one of the, you know, the decentralized apps. Who knows? Like it's but if we're getting on Netflix and things like that, it's just yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a bit of a hard sell. I honestly believe that, but you know, we'll see. Like they've had that film like Don't Look Up, and that's kind of how I envision this. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's absolutely brilliant. And I think you know, that sort of content, like everyone was talking about it. So yeah, I don't know. Everything happens for a reason with this thing. We've kind of got it to this stage so far. Like everyone was speaking about it, even outside of it. I'm explaining kind of what the script is about, and it's, you know, it's an exciting story. I think the story alone is gonna sell the script.
It's definitely a story that needs to be told. So I'm looking forward to it. So I just, again,
Well, you know how it ends.
Well, I don't know, dude. I mean, we're still in it, right? We're still, you know.
Well, no, we're creating the follow-up, the second version.
Yes. Well, we're in the trilogy. We're Empire Strikes Back right now. Is that it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Yoda.
Perfect. Beautiful. Love it. Well, guys, I mean, awesome news from it, and update on the progress of it. And I do hope something happens with a new proposal, and you kind of get a little bit more life from that. I know the proposals can be a little weird in Hive, but it's so refreshing to see this type of creativity on the blockchain, because like I was saying throughout the show today, it was just, there's so many different untapped creative markets here, and I think filmmaking has got this massive potential here, and I hope you guys are kind of leading the charge here for it, so appreciate it. So
cheers. Well, we're having an ask me anything this Friday if anyone wants to come. We're going to have it as an event on our Discord. If you go to Filmmaking for Hive, there's our Discord links on most of our posts. So yeah, join in. It's at 6 p.m. UK time, British summer time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, come on by and ask some questions or comment on our posts, and we'll try and answer the questions. It will be recorded, and we'll get it out on our regular posting.
I'll include the link to your Discord in the update when I get this thing uploaded, so people can follow through. And if they're listening to the end of this, you can check the link at the bottom of the post. I've always wanted
put
to say
their
that.
Hive account on there.
Hive account, yep, for sure. So there you go. Anything else, Task? Good. Good stuff.
I think it was a great show.
I think
I'm excited.
We need to call Vin. Get on the horn with Vin. I'm telling you, I can see
the only problem with that, John, is it's a great idea, and I think he'd go for it, except I'm not a main character in this.
Well, but I mean,
so
okay, yeah.
Unless Vin can grow some hair and look like an Asian dude, or grow some hair and he could play Ned Scott. I mean, it's
there you go.
Or anyways, grow less hair and be Dan Larimer.
Hey, you can do that. Yeah. Anyways, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate you. And look forward to more updates. And I'm gonna get the badges to you guys. I promise. It's coming.
Cheers, John.
Right.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yep,
yeah, thanks for having us. And we'll be on again soon. We'll have a chat, let you know how it's going. We'll bring Vin Diesel on here and all that sort of thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Expecting lots of Vin content. Come. All right.
Hopefully in the next podcast I'm not crying saying it's too much. I was too confident. Deadly. All right, thanks, lads.